396-5555. Jacksonville. Old school.
Going to be stolen, I think, by the doctor. Yes, he's got it. Way rocks the baby to sleep and slam dunk.
Stolen by Bird and the cut to DJ. Yeah! Buckle up for Kobe Bryant.
New era.
Oh! A jawbreaker! Curry way downtown. Bang!
It's all basketball.
A spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
Lace 'em up. It's time for 1010XL's Open Gym. Leading the break, here's R.J. Saunders.
And it is the basketball show for the basketball fan, a little show we like to call the Open Gym around these parts. Boston currently leading the NBA Finals Series 1-0 following a masterful performance by Kristaps Porzingis and Jaylen Brown. They're going to look to take a 2-0 series lead. That game will be tomorrow. R.J. Saunders here with you. Casey Dobson also in the building. But most importantly, you are here with us. And however you are listening, we thank you so much. Got a great show lined up for you today. Your way on to the show, the text line, 641-1010, or on the MyBookie Digital Studio via YouTube. Answer me this. We're in the NBA Finals. What's your favorite NBA Finals series? You could say the Lakers and the Celtics, whether that be in the 80s or the battles that they had in both 2008 and 2010. How about the Bulls and the Jazz? Back-to-back finals, I believe it was, 97 and 98. Chicago taking both of those. Michael Jordan's final shot as a Bull, the 1998 NBA Finals. Heat Mavericks, they faced each other twice, once in 2006. Next time, 2011. That was a great series. The coming out party for Dwayne Wade in 06. Dirk finally getting over the hill in 2011. So you get the picture. You understand. Let us know. 641-1010. Let me start with this. I'll ask you, the listener. What defines a generational talent in your opinion? We're supposed to have one here in Jax with Trevor, right? A guy that's absolutely going to change the way we look at our organization, and he'll be the recipe for that new age football quarterback. That remains to be seen. But that's what we heard when we got the number 1 overall pick. He's heard it since he was 15 years old. He's got the height. He's got the look, the zip on the football, his IQ second to none. Things that I feel personally go into being a generational talent. Winning, in my opinion, doesn't always have to be a part of that. It may dock you a couple of points, as it does to a lot of individuals, because we ultimately say winning is the most important thing. But I'll give you my argument as to why maybe it's not the biggest thing in the world and you could still be a, quote, generational talent. But Gilbert Arenas made a statement this past week that I think even the biggest basketball head would say, you're kidding, right? Casey, roll the clip.
Steph is not a generational talent.
Steph Curry
Steph is not a generational.
Steph not a generational.
You know what a generational? Wemby is a generational person. That is a generational talent.
Steph became
a great generational means you can't mimic it. You can't mimic. You can't mimic
that number 1.
Well, you said you can't. Can you mimic Magic Johnson, 6'9" point guard with the vision? No, you can't mimic Shaquille O'Neal's body.
Kareem
You can't mimic LeBron James. You can't mimic Wemby. Those are generational.
I agree.
It only comes once every. Right.
So
there's only 5 or 6.
Kill is based on like physical traits. Okay.
Physical traits is generational.
That's all I could say to it when I heard it. I won't bore you with stats. I won't do that today. We'll just have a conversation. But I think it's clear to many of us that Steph Curry is a generational talent without having the generational attributes in terms of height, weight, speed, etc. Gilbert Arenas, he would go on to talk about what defines a generational talent. And as you heard in the clip, he's talking about the intangibles: height, weight, speed. Something you can't duplicate, something you can't mimic, something you cannot teach. It's a fair argument. I just think there's holes in it. Let's start with Steph Curry. Here's a guy who's about 6'2 or 6'3 and has absolutely changed the way many play and look at the game of basketball. Whether you're a rec league Hall of Famer or you are a soon-to-be NBA Hall of Famer, whether that's you're in high school, college, or going into the NBA in a couple of weeks. The three-point shot, it was honestly a specialist type deal, if you remember that. Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, Mark Price, Dennis Scott, Peja. And this is something that I remember seeing when Steph Curry's draft notes came out about him. They thought he was going to be his father. It'll be Del Curry. He'll probably have a long career. He's going to be a three-point specialist. And his dad was a fine shooter. Steph turned that up by 1,000,000. And I'm sure that whether you're a coach, whether you are a father trying to teach your daughter or son, as much as we say, before I do that, Casey, what do you say when you are shooting a balled up piece of paper into a trash can?
I usually yell Kobe.
Exactly. We all say Kobe, but we all want to shoot like Curry. He simply redefined the game, and through his redefining, he has birthed guys like Trae Young, whose calling card has tried to be that of Steph Curry in a way. I can shoot threes at a very high clip and make a lot of them. D'Angelo Russell, when he came out of the NBA draft, said, I have a Steph Curry-like story, and I will change the game like Steph Curry did. And it's interesting to me, I just throw this as an aside, if his game would have translated in the NBA, and unfortunately it didn't, but he is a god in China. If Jimmer Fredette's game would have translated when he came out of BYU, would it be interesting? Would we be talking about Jimmer like this instead of Steph? That's something to think about. He also says Nikola Jokic isn't generational. Here's a few names I thought of. Vlade Divac, Arvydas Sabonis, who many say he was on the back half of his career when he finally elected to come to the NBA, goes to Portland, but was an absolute terror overseas. And those guys that I have named in Nikola Jokic, Vlade Divac, and Arvydas Sabonis, besides the fact that they all came from across the pond, here are passers who are great out of the post. Guys who are crafty for big men in their respective eras. Jokic turns that up by 1,000. You can make the argument, and I'll agree with you probably more times than none, that Hakeem did it a lot better than Nikola Jokic. And he himself is a generational talent. But even if I'm to throw Hakeem in there, and I'm giving you now 4 centers that are great passers out of the post, teams were saying you can run your offense from the post not because you simply have a 7-footer in a league that's dominated by big men and you are just asking them to be able to do a 2-dribble hook over the left shoulder, 2-dribble hook over the right shoulder. I can run an offense through the post with a guy who's thinking like a point guard first, He just so happens to be 7 foot, and in Nikola Jokic's case, 7 foot with a dad bod. Tell me how many 6'11", 7-foot centers in NBA history are able to do that. We've named 4. Shaq was a willing passer out of the post, but I underline that. Willing passer. Not a guy who's thinking point guard like first, like the guys we've named. Now, I will say this about Gilbert. He's right on some guys who were, through genetics, an absolute force. Shaquille O'Neal, Reggie Miller, I agree with completely. When he is on open court, not open gym, I was going to say that, but open court, and he's sitting next to Shaq, and he pats Shaq on the back and says, "We'll never see this again." Honestly, I don't know if we ever will. And a lot of time has gone on. He retired 2011, 2012. But I think his best years were behind him. You could argue his last All-Star year in 2009. I haven't seen one. Embiid, we try to say, is close. We try to say that. And Embiid is able to stretch his game to the three-point line. Dwight Howard, we tried saying that as well. It seemed he got to a point to where he became a great pick and roll, catch lobs, and that's solely what he was doing. You weren't really giving him the ball in the post anymore. I will say this, though. The game is a cyclical game. It always comes back around. Always. And maybe one day it's going to be dominated by 7-footers again who say, "Give me the ball in the post, and I'm going to bash it on your head." But when you look at a guy like Magic, 6'9", who Gilbert Arenas also brings up, and he had the vision, or Shaq, or LeBron James, who's a guy size-wise in the old NBA, if you want to talk 90s and 80s, probably a 4, 6'8", 270, runs like a deer. He can put the ball on the floor. He sees the floor well. That's God-given talent. I'll ask this, though. Was LeBron the first of his kind to be a point forward? No. We've had great names. Grant Hill, who many argue was LeBron before he played on an injured foot in a playoff series. I want to say that was against Atlanta, or it could have been against Miami. Plays on an injured foot. That really derails his career. Orlando Magic fans, I would love to hear from you if you're still angered about that, because when he came to Orlando, he and McGrady were supposed to be the tandem. After you lose out on Tim Duncan, Doc Rivers, learn how to lie. But Magic also gave Penny the rub. You remember this? It's the All-Star game. It was in, I want to say it was in Phoenix. And Penny's playing in the rookie-sophomore game. And Magic says, "You want to meet the next Magic?" There he goes, right there. You've had Lamar Odom, T-Mac, Scottie Pippen. Paolo even's becoming one of these guys. Magic birthed guys that in any other space, I don't know if these guys could be what they were, because it wasn't seen before Magic. LeBron, sure, he's built like Karl Malone, but he can run like an absolute gazelle. Generational talent. MJ, generational. All the moves. But here's what takes it over the top for me. He made the game global. On top of everything that he had that was God-given, could the NBA have made money without him? They argue on the podcast, and I don't try to make this a Lakers show, But is Kobe Bryant a generational talent? He says no, he was a hard worker. But let me use the analogy he used. He says if Michael Jordan is this Bugatti, Ferrari type car, I don't know which car you would say is the next tier down from that, that's moving like a Bugatti or a Ferrari. But whatever that car is, Kobe was pushing that car with his body as if it was a Bugatti and a Ferrari. And I'm just hearing way too many Kobe stories nowadays from guys who are in the NBA that either played with him or against him and are saying he's the best of this generation and absolutely belongs in the GOAT debate. Does that not mean he should be a generational talent or not? I'll give you one more. Dirk Nowitzki. Look at all of the 7-footers that now shoot from the outside. Dang near taboo back then, wasn't it? Bill Laimbeer was kind of one of the only guys at that time shooting from the outside with the Detroit Pistons. Dirk comes in, he's about 7'1", can extend guys out to the three-point range, and also take you in the post and shoot that one-legged jumper. He was the best at doing what he did. And from him, he birthed guys like Kevin Durant, who can be 6'10" and shoot it from the outside. Kevin Durant turns it up a level in what he's able to do off the bounce, makes he himself, in my opinion, one of a kind. Now, as I said, I don't believe that every NBA player is a generational talent, but I believe if you put Gilbert Arenas in a closed room, guys mimic other guys every day. Kobe mimicked Jordan. Trae Young is mimicking Steph Curry, or at least trying his best to. DeMar DeRozan is trying to mimic Kobe, right? And sometimes the guys who you're mimicking, I think there are, in some aspects, you're better than the guy that you mimicked. Here's where I'll say winning isn't everything, but he had a big influence on the game, and I think was generational. Allen Iverson. You look fly in a suit, Magic. You look fly in a suit, MJ. But I'm comfortable in my own skin with wearing a rope chain, a Dr. J jersey, carrying 2 grape sodas and some candy, and I'm about to put 40 on your head. And look at the guys now and look at how they dress. Allen Iverson kind of birthed that. It didn't equate to winning. He only went to the finals one time. But a generational type figure in the NBA. And he wasn't the tallest, wasn't the fastest, wasn't the biggest, but pound for pound, he was the people's champ. Owning The Rock. Let me know what you define as a generational talent. I could be absolutely wrong about all this. I could be absolutely out of my mind. Let me know. 641-1010. You know what Gilbert can do better than me? He can tell you what teams to pick. It's time to make or lose you some money with this magic moment.
This magic moment is brought to you by MyBookie. Experience the Vegas thrill from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
Casey, I'm still taking Dallas.
I believe in your pick.
Still taking Dallas to win the series at plus 325. And I think they win in 7. And that's at plus 850. And they'll win game 2. But instead of being 6.5-point underdogs, they are now 7-point underdogs at minus 110. They don't ask me to be an expert. Just play one on the radio. Also, at 12:45, I have one more jersey to give out.
You didn't even have to let the people know.
Didn't
you
have
just
to.
Gave it to me.
But Steve Griffin wanted me to do it. So I have to do it.
Who's that guy? Who's Steve?
He's the man that pays all of our
okay. All right. I guess that makes sense.
At 12:45, be caller number 3, 641-1010. Have a nice little swag bag for you. You can come pick it up on Tuesday. And we will do this the right way. We'll have it right for you at the front desk. All you have to do is give your name. Somebody will have the prize sheet, and you can enjoy a nice Orlando Magic jersey when we return. Unfortunately, Josh Beard, who was supposed to be our first guest to talk about the Dallas Mavericks, something has come up. He will not be able to join us. However, big news in the NBA. My Los Angeles Lakers continue to keep getting in front of the headlines even when they're not in the NBA Finals. I'll explain that next on Open Gym on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
What are the many ways to experience 1010XL?
Why don't we just take it from the top?
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, at 1010XL.
Now those sound like some well-oiled machines. If you're a business owner that uses tons of fuel, you need B&B. If you're in charge of a job site that uses tons of fuel, once again, you need B&B. B&B Oil and Fuel has the fuel you need and will deliver straight to your site or office. Top-notch products and service delivered with B&B Oil and Fuel. Job sites, boats, generators, nothing but the best fuel with B&B Oil and Fuel. Online at bb-oil.com. Only the best with B&B Oil and Fuel.
Did you know a metal roof from Prime Roofing has the highest wind and impact ratings available? If you want a stronger roof, think metal. Think Prime Roofing. Learn more at primeroofingfl.com. That's primeroofingfl.com.
This is Frank Frangie. Join Dan Hickett and me for All Things Gators, our podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with new episodes every Monday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL Florida Gators Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or TuneIn.
What's going on, everybody? It's RJ Saunders here. The NBA playoffs are heating up. In fact, we are in the middle of NBA Finals action. And you know what? That means it's a perfect time to elevate your game with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide, whether that's cash out or let it ride. I'm still taking Dallas to win the series at plus 325, and they'll win in 7, and that's at plus 850. MyBookie really makes it easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays. And new boosts are now added on the daily. Guys, this is more than just a sports book. I'm talking buzzer beaters, underdog upsets, and a community to share in all of the sweats. Give yourself a head start today and play with house money using 1010XL when you make your first deposit. That's 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie.
Score free gifts for the greatest dad this Father's Day at Lowe's. Get a free Select Cobalt tool with your purchase of a 24-volt max battery 2-pack. And get a free Select Craftsman string trimmer or leaf blower with purchase of a Select V20 push mower up to a $149 value. Lowe's knows dads. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 6/12. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville, your courtside on Open Gym on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM, a little show called The Open Gym, the 0489. Saying all y'all picking Dallas doesn't watch much basketball. Boston has been the most dominant team in NBA history in many areas. They dominated without Porzingis, true. And now he's back, correct. Dallas doesn't belong on the same court. 8 of the top 10 players are all on Boston. This is craziness. It is. However, I look at this akin to Orlando and Cleveland. Here's why. Cleveland was in Orlando's position a year before. And they had to learn how to lose. They weren't ready for the physicality that New York had gave them a year prior, ended up losing in the first round. Orlando was now in the shoes of Cleveland, being that young team, first time in the playoffs, kind of playing with house money. Cleveland hits them in the mouth. That first game hits them in the mouth. Until the third quarter. Isn't this funny? Go back and watch the game and tell me if you would feel the same way. Jalen Suggs has a nasty poster. I forget who it was on. I think it was on George Niang. Bodies him up, and it felt like the jitters and the anxiousness of, oh, crap, we're in the NBA playoffs. It went away after Jalen Suggs has that and one dunk, howls at the moon. And Orlando, it seemed they snapped out of it. They still lost game 1. They would also lose game 2. But game 2, they look like a much more comfortable team. Look at Dallas, who you have Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, much better players than that of Apollo Banchero and a Franz Wagner as of right now. By the time we got to the third quarter, Luka hits that shot. He starts looking at the crowd and starts nodding his head. Uh-oh. Come back, baby. Fortunately, it didn't happen. However, I think they come back in game 2, and I think they're a much better team, and I still think they can still win in Boston. And Boston has trouble in game 2. So I understand they've been the most dominant team this season, but they've had issues. We've seen it all playoffs. We saw it against Indiana. You have issues all of a sudden in game 2. This should be a sweep. Not so. I like Dallas because I'm a Lakers fan. So blow me up on that one on the 0489. Thanks for the text. I'm a Lakers fan. I'm not going to choose Boston. Are you serious? I'm going to choose Boston? What? And I love Rick Ballou. I did his show for 3 years. I was a producer. I think Rick Ballou even knows. I'm not going to choose the Celtics. I'm a Lakers fan. I won't be allowed at any In-N-Out in L.A. if I were to go back. If I choose the C's. But if we're looking at this from an NBA standpoint, I think Luka was a tad bit anxious. Not scared of the moment, just anxious. Kyrie Irving, he's in a much better headspace than he was when he first went to Boston after leaving Boston and went to Brooklyn. I think he was a bit anxious because the crowd is there. And he's trying to do this Kobe thing and this Zen-like. And, you know, I want to tell all the young guys out there, you know, don't be scared. Don't have to be. I'm sure there was something in him that wanted to shut that crowd up as they were serenading him with Kyrie sucks. Could Dallas be that team? Could Dallas be that team to upset them? Now, Boston has a much deeper group, and I'll give them that. And when it comes to, and this is what I wanted to ask Josh Beard, when it comes to the others on the floor, if we're saying duo for duo, the duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown versus the duo of Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, you can like whichever one you want. However, when you look at the guys surrounding them, Boston has a much, much, much deeper group. Kristaps Porzingis is a guy that if he's your best player on a team like he was in New York, second best player on your team like he was in Dallas, I don't know how far you're going. But he's your third, maybe fourth best player on Boston, your championship team. And you're seeing that. He's not asked to do what he was being asked to do, let's say, in Dallas. They wanted he to almost be the next Dirk for Dallas. Not the NBA was asking him to be that, but Dallas was probably asking him to be the next Dirk, and he and Luka could have the Dirk Nash thing going on. Didn't work out. Had an okay season with the Washington Wizards. It wasn't relating to winning. When you look at the other side for Dallas, what a fall from grace for Tim Hardaway Jr. This entire season, he was the third leading scorer on Dallas. He's not even finding the floor now. PJ Washington, I don't know if you're looking for that guy to create his own shot off the bounce like you would ask a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr., who now can't see the floor. Daniel Gafford, great piece. Not a guy you're asking to, we're going to give you the ball in the post and play a ground and pound game. Derek Lively, great guy. I mean, you know, some people want to say, oh, Jason Kidd's going to use him like they did Tyson Chandler. Tyson was a different cat that 2011 series. Different cat. This is Lively's first time at the big dance. So it's going to take Herculean efforts from Luka and Kyrie, and we've seen it many times before. Have they ran out of gas as the clock struck 12? Or could they pull off an upset? I think Dallas is a team that only needs to see themselves get one win in Boston. And Tatum and Brown, when they're hot, they're hot. When they grow cold, and they normally set the tone. I don't think Porzingis is going to be a guy that's going to do this for you 4 games in a row. I don't see it. If he does it, I'll come back on this show and I'll salute him. Don't know yet. Although it was a great game. It was a great game to watch. If Dallas pulls this off, this would be one of the greatest upsets in NBA Finals history. This is Boston's championship to lose without question. And I'll ask this question again because I asked it last week. If Jason Tatum, let's just say he wins Finals MVP, is he a top 5 player in the NBA? It feels like he should be, shouldn't it? It feels like he should be right now. He wasn't asked to do a lot, I mean, because Boston took Dallas to the woodshed early. But Jason Tatum's supposed to be the face of that franchise. Jason Tatum is supposed to be probably a top 10 talent in the NBA, and when I mention his name, I feel like if I were sitting next to you instead of doing this show and I bring his name up, you would say, you would probably name a handful of players before we get down to Jason Tatum. I think this is a big finals for him. For him personally. I don't think he has to go out and score 30 every night. I think he tries to do the Kobe thing like Kyrie does. I think he tries to do the Kobe thing a little bit too much. But if he can show that he can be dominant and be the best player on a championship team, I think we need to start having different conversations about Jason Tatum. There's so many storylines in this NBA Finals. It's absolutely a joy to be a part of it and watching the rise of Luka Doncic and the comeback story of a guy like a Kyrie Irving. And then on the other side, a guy like Jason Tatum, who I feel still has a lot to prove in some ways. We'll see what happens. Game 2 on Sunday. I was supposed to talk about the LA Lakers with Dan Hurley, supposedly going to be offered $100 million to be the Lakers' next head coach. We'll probably get to that next week. The answer, I guess, is supposed to be in the next couple of days. The NBA, we love drama. The Lakers finding themselves in headlines despite not even being in the NBA playoffs over 2 months. I wonder if it can translate for a guy like Dan Hurley. He's been great at UConn. NBA is a different beast, and we've seen guys like Rick Pitino. All my Florida Gator fans, we've seen it with guys like Billy Donovan. Really hasn't translated all that well Calipari, he was in New Jersey for a while. Great college coach, just didn't translate to the NBA. Coach K got close. 2004. Phil Jackson leaves. Coach K gets offered a contract to come to the Lakers. Decides not to take it. Great decision. Still one of the greatest coaches of all time. College or pro, in my opinion. Dan Hurley, I wonder. But Woj makes a great point. It seems that the Lakers want to try something different. Doesn't get more different than going after a college coach, something that I guess in recent memory hasn't happened in over 2 decades. It's going to be interesting to see. All right, Steve Bulpett, we're going to Boston. He is covering the NBA Finals. He has been covering the NBA since 1985. He's now the senior NBA columnist for Heavy on Sports. This is a great conversation. He'll talk to us about how much this is going to mean to Jason Tatum in terms of whether or not he's going to be the face of the NBA. Should he win the NBA Finals? What does Boston need to do to go up 2-0 and make me look absolutely stupid about my pick of taking the Dallas Mavericks? He joins us next on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
New faces on the field for the first time in team.
There are no shortcuts, man.
OTA coverage is brought to you by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Up, quick feet!
On 1010XL.
Hi, this is Earl Ron, president of New South Window. New South is having a one-day factory sale this Saturday only in our factory showroom. 40% off energy-efficient windows and patio doors. One day only, this Saturday from 9 till 4. Please visit us at newsouthwindow.com.
Hey, it's Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. If you're like me, you're getting crushed by rising costs of everything these days. I get it. It's brutal, and credit card rates are ridiculous and going higher. That's why at Loan Pronto, we launched our Express Equity Line of Credit to bring you the relief you and your family need, using your home, your most valuable asset. We've helped thousands of people like you get fast relief with cash. The average homeowner who does this gets tens of thousands in just days and is able to save $850 per month in overall expenses. I'm talking life-changing money. Your money that you have access to right now. Listen, if you're ready to get control of your finances and get off the hamster wheel, call Loan Pronto. You can get approved for Express Equity Line of Credit in just minutes, and we can get your cash in less than a week. Stop digging a deeper credit card hole today. Call Loan Pronto now. 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. 904-999-1508.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org.
I'm sure many of you guys feel like you wish you could be as fit as you were in your 20s. The dad bod is really tough to shed. I'm Dr. Lance Snyder, and I did something about it through Dr. Rappaport at the Jax Aesthetic Center. I'm active, I played college sports, and I still work out a few times a week. Nothing worked. As a doctor and a dad, I want to be around as long as possible and feel good about my body. Dr. Rappaport put together a personalized treatment plan that worked. It was easy for me to make appointments, get to those appointments, and get back to work in time. I also recommend the Incella chair for any urinary issues or ED. Dr. Rappaport has some state-of-the-art treatment options for men. And the M-Sculpt Neo is an abs blast. 20,000 crunches in 30 minutes. Give yourself your own gift this Father's Day at the Jax Aesthetic Center. Build muscle and lose fat. Call or text today, 904-808-2455. That's 904-808-2455. You won't be sorry.
Serving cool sports takes all summer long.
What's that haunting aroma? You know, I'll have one of those. So light.
Your place for sports talk refreshment.
Can we order first?
1010XL, your summer station.
Hey, Hicken here, and I want to tell you about Beaches Dermatology and my doctor, Dr. Metz. I've been going to Dr. Metz for, I don't know how many years, decades. I got the scars to prove it. Listen, Jets, I love the beach. I love to play golf. I love Florida. I love to go to my kids' games in the hot sun all weekend long. Summer is basically here, and the sun will be shining. Don't forget your sunscreen. Trust me on this. You need to go get checked out today. It's more important than you think. Give Beaches Dermatology a call online at beachesdermatology.com.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Our returning champion, a basketball court sweat mopper from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Louis Cramp.
Great to be back, Merv.
There's only one category left on the board, Louis. people you can trust to repair your air conditioner. Your 10 seconds starts now.
Well, I'm pretty handy with tools around. Right, so my Uncle Steve used to fix transmissions, so maybe he could... Okay, sorry. I guess just call the guys at Bueller?
That's right, Lewis. The highly trained technicians at Bueller Air and Plumbing have the tools and the experience to service any make and model of home air conditioner to make sure that you are cool.
You sure I can't just have a quick...
Yeah, we're done for today. Stay cooler with Bueller. Visit BuellerAir.com.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Your Jaguars game day, your way. Whether you want to see a division rival like the Titans, an NFC North opponent like the Packers, or a mix, deciding on your favorite matchups has never been easier with Bundle at the Bank.
Touchdown, Travis Etienne!
Get tickets to 3 or more games starting at just $58 per game. It's as easy as pick, pay, and play. But seats are selling fast, so visit Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Take your shot. It's Open Gym on 1010XL.
It is the basketball show for the basketball fan, a little show we like to call the Open Gym. Here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM, the Boston Celtics are currently leading this NBA Finals series 1-0 over the Dallas Mavericks following that masterful performance by Kristaps Porzingis and Jaylen Brown. They look to take a 2-0 series lead tomorrow. That game will be on ABC. RJ Saunders here with you. Glad you guys are with us, and let's make a pilgrimage down to Boston. We speak with Steve Bulpett. He's a senior NBA columnist at Heavy on Sports. He's been covering the Celtics and the NBA since 1985, and it's one of these conversations you just want to sit back, relax, and ask him so many questions about his time covering the NBA. But you can follow him on Twitter or X, whatever you're calling it these days, at Steve B. Hoop, and he is so gracious to give us a couple moments of his time here on the program. Steve, how are you?
How you doing, sir?
Doing well, sir. And again, thank you so much for giving us a couple moments of your time. I understand that you are very busy with everything NBA Finals. So let's get right into it. The Boston Celtics take a commanding lead early in the contest, going up by as many as 29. Luka and the Mavs had something to say about that, cut the deficit to around 8 in the latter stages of that third quarter. But Boston ends up winning game one, going away in blowout fashion. What did you see from the Boston Celtics in game one of this NBA Finals series?
Well, in terms of the Celtics getting a big lead and then seeing it get whittled away, I've seen that movie quite a few times.
Right.
The Celtics tend to get big leads and then, start relying on offense. And if they miss a few shots, it bleeds over into their defensive intensity, and that's how the opponent makes a run. They were able to catch themselves. They had a big enough cushion, but they definitely turned it up a little bit toward the end of the quarter. And for all that the Mavericks did well in that period, I think they only outscored the Celtics by a single point in the frame. So, they got their stuff back together again.
And when you talk about this NBA Finals matchup, this best-of-7 series, and one of the big reasons why Boston has a 1-0 lead currently is the play of Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, my goodness, this guy was on fire to open up the contest for Boston. Is this a prelude of what's to come in this NBA Finals series for Kristaps? I mean, for a guy who hasn't played in 38 days, I really couldn't tell by his play on the floor.
I'm not sure about that kind of a one-half explosion like that, but it's for certain that Jason Kidd and the Mavericks will be more concerned or have been reminded how much they need to be concerned about Kristaps Porzingis. I think he was a bit nervous going into this. He and I were just chatting before the game, and you could tell there was a little bit of uncertainty with him, even though we were joking about some stuff.
Right.
But he, I think what he does is, Al Horford spreads the floor as well, but Porzingis also has the mid-range I will shoot over you ability.
Yes.
That's not so much in Al's repertoire. And defensively, just Kristaps' size and length did a lot to take away Dallas's lob game. So I think that's something that everyone's going to look at what Kristaps did scoring-wise, but what he took away from Dallas's offense, that drive to the basket, I'm caught, I'm going to throw it in the air to Gafford or Derek Lively, and they're going to throw it down. That was missing, and it got the Mavericks thinking, conscious thoughts are really one of the worst things because it can happen to an offense, and I think he made them do that.
Steve Bulpett, our guest. He is a senior NBA columnist at Heavy on Sports. He's been covering the Boston Celtics and the NBA since 1985. You can follow him on X at Steve B. Hoop. It's been an interesting conversation when it comes to the topic of Jason Tatum. I spoke about this on my show not too long ago on whether or not a championship would elevate him as a potential face of the NBA. What are your thoughts on a guy like Tatum, and what does he need to do to garner more respect from us, whether it's basketball heads or the media, to propel him to the upper echelon of players we see today, and him individually being spotlighted as the future face of the league?
Well, I think the whole face of the league thing is just, who cares?
Right.
But what he needs to do is win. I just think my last story I wrote was about how, and this is not just pundits on TV and radio, but former NBA players are saying, well, he's got to come out, he's got to be a superstar, he's got to score a bunch of points. But no, not at all. That's dumb. What he has to do is make the right play, deal with what the defense is throwing at him, which was quite a bit last night. He got sloppy. There were turnovers that clearly were a problem. But the fact that he didn't score a ton of points doesn't matter. If you're catching all the attention of your opponent's defense, and then you make the right passes that burn them, then that's winning basketball. And that's all that anyone should care about. But this whole thing of, he's got to go out and score 30, and if he doesn't, then he's a bump. No, it's just, I'll keep going back to this. There wasn't a day in Bill Russell's life that Wilt Chamberlain wasn't a better all-around basketball decathlete, could do all the stuff.
Right.
But Bill Russell understood the object of the game in a way that Wilt, who was a great guy, but never fully grasped. So Wilt Chamberlain is the basketball colossus, and Bill Russell, it becomes the greatest winner in the history of team sports. Which would you rather have on your team?
You can't talk about Jason Tatum without talking about his running mate, Jaylen Brown. And I believe when he got that contract, there were many that were scratching their heads and saying he doesn't deserve that kind of money, especially with him having a guy such as Jason Tatum, who is looked to be the face of the franchise. But it seems to me that this playoff run, especially in the later rounds, he showed up, he's showed out, and he's been worth every penny of that contract he's been given.
Well, look, he's gotten better pretty much every year, and he produces, he gives you numbers, but beyond the offense, which is kind of what people look at maybe a little bit too much, is what he does defensively.
Right.
The assignments he takes on. Look at some of the other great scorers in the league, and then look at their defense. Now look at Tatum and Brown and what they do defensively. The assignments they take on, how they approach those assignments. It's a bit different. And look, that was just what the market said at the time. And this summer, Jason Tatum is eligible for a contract extension, and I think it's fair to say that Jaylen Brown will become number 2 on the Celtics salary structure.
Steve Bulpett, our guest. He's been covering the Celtics in the NBA since 1985. Now the senior NBA columnist at Heavy on Sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Steve B. Hoop. Is this the best collection of talent that Brown and Tatum have had around them since entering the league, in your opinion?
No question. No question. It was set up, well, it was Jason Tatum's rookie year, but he wasn't Jason Tatum. He was a lot better than they expected, I know, as a rookie. But, that team, had brought in, traded for Kyrie Irving and had signed Gordon Hayward as a free agent. They still had Al Horford. That team was pretty well stocked. But at this point here, this is clearly, hands down, the best group he's had, because it includes a more seasoned Jason Tatum, a more seasoned Jaylen Brown, and people like Drew Holiday and Derek White are just like uber professional, and those guys are people you win with. And the group around them, that's, if there's a key to this series, or if you look at the matchup, it really is Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic against the Celtics' depth.
Right.
And they can throw out so much quality depth that I think it makes it difficult for Dallas. Doesn't make it an insurmountable task, but it makes it really difficult.
And that's something I have certainly talked about ad nauseum with people, whether on air or off air, that the Boston Celtics and their depth really puts them over in a lot of games, as well as a lot of series, as we have seen this run that they have had now going all the way to the championship round and finding themselves only 3 wins away from winning yet another NBA title. Do you feel that that is going to be the key, their depth, to win game 2 as well as win the series overall? Or is it going to have to be the mix of their star players such as Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and Jason Tatum to put them over the top like they did just a couple of nights ago when they won game 1?
I think they'll be fine if they don't think about it in those terms. If Boston comes out and says, look, we're just going to play defense here. We're going to ramp up everything, our effort, our rotations, our switching, all those things, and just let the offense happen organically.
Right.
Then I think that would make the Celtics would be fine if they approach it that way. But a few missed shots here and there, and you can guard the heck out of Luka and Kyrie, and they can still make shots. And then it becomes a different game in a lot of ways. So but if they come out and say, look, we're just going to focus on defense and let the offense happen, I think they'd be in pretty good shape. But they've had some issues against teams in game 2 after doing well in game 1.
That is Steve Bulpett, the senior NBA columnist at Heavy on Sports. He's been covering the Celtics as well as the NBA since 1985. You can follow him on Twitter at Steve B. Hoop. Mr. Bulpett, thank you so much once again for giving us a couple moments of your time. I understand it's a very time-consuming thing once we get to this stage of the NBA season, that being the NBA Finals, and for you just to give us a few moments, we greatly appreciate it and hope we can do this again down the line.
All right, take care.
It's the Sporting Jacks Soccer Hour. Join Cole Pepper, Maurizio Ruiz, and Becky Burley as they discuss the latest in the world of soccer, including Sporting Jacks, bringing pro men's and women's soccer to Jacksonville. Mondays at 6 on 1010 a.m.
Yo, it's your boy E to the T, and the NBA playoffs are here, and it's the perfect time to elevate your game with MyBookie. With MyBookie, you can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you'll never miss a shot of making that straight cash, homie. You can even live stream and bet on the game right from the sportsbook. giving you everything you'll need to decide. Cash out or let it ride. MyBookie really makes it easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays. And new boosts are now posted on the daily. It's more than just a sports book. Buzzer beaters, underdog upsets, and a community to share in all of the sweats. Give yourself a head start today by using promo code 1010XL when you make your first deposit. That's 1010XL to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Come on, somebody.
If you wear contact lenses and you're between the ages of 18 and 69, the Vision Research Center is looking for participants in clinical research studies. If eligible, you'll be compensated up to $50 per hour. I've done these contact lens studies for years. The VRC staff is wonderful and they work with my busy schedule. See if you qualify. Visit their website, 188visionok.com. 188visionok.com.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Share your life with 1010XL. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Oh, wait. I'm going to take a picture and post it on Facebook. What? Hashtag
1010XL. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville, your courtside on Open Gym on 1010XL.
Back here on 1010XL 92.5 FM. Thank you to Steve Bulpett for giving us a couple of moments of his time. As you know, when I do these pre-recorded interviews, we always have a little bit something special for those of you who listen on SoundCloud. About 50 minutes. We talked about the Celtics of yesteryear, what made that 86 team so special, got into the Garnett, Allen, and Pierce years as well. Also gave a great story about Kobe Bryant, as well as Danny Fortson. You remember him? It's been a moment in Boston. I remember him from his days in Golden State. It's definitely going to be a fine conversation if you decide to listen to it on SoundCloud. Game 2, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. That's going to be on ABC. Boston looking to go up 2-0 in that contest. That is going to do it for us here on the Open Gym. We will talk to you again on Saturday, and we should have an idea of who has taken the reins of this series. We will be, let's look at the NBA final schedule here before we get out of here. We'll already be 4 games in. We may have crowned a champion if Boston elects to sweep. For RJ Saunders, I'm Casey Dobson. Well, actually, for Casey Dobson, I'm RJ Saunders.
There can only be one.
There can only be one.
Baby.
And we can't finish the Open Gym without having a laugh. See you guys next Saturday.
Get fishing tips and stories from Captain Kevin
Bite's gonna pick up pretty soon
on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show.